Hi guys, and welcome to the celebration video for me getting 1 million followers. Come on! Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I'd like to thank my friends and my wife and my family and you guys. It's not like I could have done it without you. Look, at the end of the day, I rock, but you rock as well. We all rock together. You guys complete me, you know that. In fact, this isn't even really my success. No, this is your success. So give yourselves a massive pat on the back. I mean, I'm not going to share any of the profits with you or anything like that. There's lots of costs with a YouTube channel like this, you know, equipment costs, and I've got to pay for the backgrounds. This is real felt, you know. But don't think about the money. Just think about how cool it is that you've helped me get to 1 million followers. So hey, why don't we try and go for 2 million? Right, enough about that. Now that we've celebrated the milestone, I guess we'll have a quick intro and then we'll talk about a movie maybe. Hi guys, so 1 million followers, the movie, was directed by Harvey Lowry. You might remember him from such films as When We Are Pirates and Monday at 11:01 AM. That is the title of a movie. But to be fair on Harvey, he's mainly a film producer, and he also owns his own special effects company. So I think directing is just something that he likes to dabble in from time to time. And a couple of years ago, he directed this. I've always been attracted to horror films that have a big focus on social media, probably because I dabble in it myself, obviously. But I've seen some good ones over time. Influencer is the obvious one. That's a brilliant film. And also Follow Me, which is set in Russia, I think, back before everybody started hating Russia. And I was hopeful that 1 million followers would also be a really good film. So it's about this young woman called Clarissa, and she lives on a horse farm in the Midwest with her father and sister. But this farm is in trouble. They're in a lot of debt. It looks like they might have to sell the horse farm. But as it happens, Clarissa has got her own social media account. It's never specified what platform she's on. It sounds like something more like Instagram, I'd say, rather than YouTube. But she's only an amateur. She's only got like 1,000 followers or something like that. What she does is take pictures of herself stood in front of horses looking kind of sexy. She doesn't put much effort into it. She's not that bothered about it. But there's this famous YouTuber called Jack of Spades, and he notices Clarissa's channel one day, and he shares her channel or whatever. And the following day when she wakes up, her follower count has been boosted to 7,000 followers. It's like, you know, multiplied overnight. Plus, Jack of Spades has invited her to go to Thailand and be part of this week-long party involving loads of famous influencers and social media stars, loads of people who've got like millions of followers. And the idea is that all these people are going to mix together, take loads of pictures of each other, with each other, share them on all their platforms, and it'll boost their follower counts even more. And they've got like sponsors who are going to be paying for all the drinks and stuff like that, and paying for limos and things, living the high life, living the dream. And as Jack of Spades explains to Clarissa, if you come out to Thailand and sponsors notice you in all these pictures, then they might start throwing money your way, and you'll be able to go home and pay off the horse farm debts. But if there's one thing that we learn from watching Influencer, it's that travelling to Thailand when you've got a social media presence is never usually a good idea. There are lots of bad people around, and it's no different in this movie. It's a slow burn, this movie. It takes over an hour for us to realise that there are human traffickers in the area who could be a danger to our characters. Until then, we're just endlessly watching people partying and having fun and topping their drinks up and then waking up with a hangover and then going out and partying again, doing more drinking, taking photos with each other. There's a foursome at one point, not that we see it because it's happening off screen. I realised towards the end of this that it's more like a thriller than a horror, actually, because this has a strange aversion to death. Nobody really dies in this movie. Every time somebody's snatched away and you think that they're dead, turns out they're just tied up somewhere. Every time you think a villain might die, they don't. They just seem to end up unconscious, and maybe they'll get arrested instead of die. It's like, where's the deaths? Give me some deaths. I think the point of this movie is to showcase just how dangerous it is to travel abroad because of the potential for being caught by human traffickers, I suppose, but also that you're 10 times more likely to fall victim to this if you have a big social media presence. I think that's the theme of the movie, but why can't we have some deaths to demonstrate this theme? I feed on deaths. I need deaths to keep me going as a horror fan. There's so little of that in this. I'm curious about this whole horse farm debt subplot. I suspect the writer of this movie did not want Clarissa travelling to Thailand, actually wanting to be a social media star. I don't think they wanted her to have that as her primary motivation, because maybe they were worried that it would make her look a bit shallow, like, oh, I want to be a star and not work for a living and that kind of thing. So instead, they've made it that she only really wants to go on this whole adventure to pay off this debt back home. But they actually just make her look really shallow anyway, because her motivations for going to this party are not really pure. She's almost like an imposter. She doesn't really want to be an influencer like everybody else who's going to be there. I mean, say what you want about all these people with 1 million followers and how shallow they come across and stuff like that, but they've still put a lot of passion into what they've managed to build up. They've put a lot of effort in, whereas Clarissa is just somebody who is not really there on honest intentions. She just wants to make a buck really quickly and then get out of Dodge and go home, pay off the debts, and then never look back at all the people in Thailand, kind of a thing. And there are a few times during this movie where Clarissa comes across really bratty. I don't think the script wants her to appear as bratty, but that's just how she appears to me. Like, she's barely been there a couple of days and already she's complaining that she's not yet earned a load of money from sponsors coming in. And I'm just thinking, you haven't really put a lot of effort into this thing. Like, back home, you took a few pictures in a half-hearted way, stood next to horses, and then you went to a party in Thailand, and then barely 2 days later, you're moaning that you haven't yet earned the £500,000 that you need to pay off the horse farm debts. Life doesn't really work like that. You can't just complain that you haven't earned a boatload of money quickly for doing very little. And there's another scene where she's gone out to a nightclub, and before she leaves, she's checked her follower count, and it's up to like 80,000 now, because she's been hanging out with all these people and that's been getting her followers, etc., etc. But she checks her follower count again when she's on the dance floor, just whips her phone out and like, oh, let's check the follower count. And it's gone up to 200,000. And instead of being happy about that, she's like, oh, never going to get to 1 million at this rate. And she's not saying it for a joke. She's genuinely pissed off. This is not going fast enough for her. And I'm just thinking, nobody in the world would ever react like that when they notice that their follower count has more than doubled in the last few hours. It just doesn't ring true for me. And I've got to say something about the way that Clarissa dresses when she first goes to Thailand. She turns up to this fancy party in dungarees. Like, what are you doing? I think the film's trying to make out that she's this Cinderella type, this girl next door who doesn't quite yet know how to live the lavish lifestyle. She's a fish out of water. But before all this started, and she was just taking pictures in front of horses, she was wearing good, smart, sexy clothes. So why couldn't she just wear more of those at the point that she travels to Thailand? Why does she suddenly pull some ugly looking dungarees out of the cupboard and put those on? Let me tell you, dungarees are horrible. They are one of the worst inventions ever. I used to have a pair of dungarees in the 80s, and for a while a picture survived of me wearing them. Hopefully it doesn't exist anymore unless it's like buried at the back of my mum's loft, but nothing turns me off a woman faster than if she's wearing dungarees. They look dreadful. They're awful. You wouldn't turn up to like the fanciest party in Thailand wearing dungarees. I wouldn't turn up to a barn party where everybody's drinking moonshine wearing dungarees. I'd be worried that they'd laugh me out of the barn. Most of the other characters in this film are portrayed as being very snooty, and that's being kind, actually. A typical bit of dialogue from most of them might sound a little bit like this. Hi! I literally just got in about an hour ago. I was in New York doing a collab with Mr. Beast. It was phenomenal, but you wouldn't believe what happened on the flight over here. This stupid air hostess got a bit of my tequila on my Versace dress. Honestly, I was so disgusted, and we ended up doing a bit of a stop off in Dubai so I could get another dress because I wasn't going to turn up in that one. It's been frightful, darling, but honestly, I'm here now. I've got a drink in my hand, and hopefully there'll be no more mishaps this week because honestly, I just don't think I could stand it. But anyway, enough about me. How was your photo shoot in Indonesia? I saw the first few photos. I just can't relate to third world problems like this. Why is it when there are horror films about social media people, they always focus on the people who've got like millions of followers, the famous ones, that type of person, because they're actually the minority. The vast majority of like Instagram and YouTube is amateurs, people like me. We're the majority. So why can't there be a horror film where there's a focus on those people with a small amount of followers or subscribers? You could do a film where there's like a bunch of people who've all got like a rock climbing channel or something, and then they meet up for a party, but even though they're good at rock climbing, they're not very good at social media. So there's all this like gallows humor about the fact that they've only picked up like one follower in the past month or something. I would find that funny. I'd feel like those people would be really endearing, and I'd be having a good time with it long before the horror shows up. But not these people who are flying around in first class pretending to be Lady Gaga. I just can't relate to this at all. And so I just don't find myself feeling nervous at all about the fact that they might get snatched up by people traffickers. I'm just not. I did like a couple of the characters, to be fair, but it's a very large cast, so that's not saying much. There's this one dude called Miami. He's quite funny at times, at other times annoying. You're never quite sure where his loyalties lie in this, which made him at least semi-interesting to me. There's this other guy, an Aussie. His deal is that he's managed to get loads of followers because he does all these pictures where he's mostly nude, and because he's got like big muscles and stuff, like the women love him. And he's the one who has a foursome at one point with like 3 other women. It's just ridiculous. Normally, I would hate a guy like this, but it turns out that he's actually really good in a fist fight, which proves very useful in the story. And so I found myself liking him out of the blue. Most of the best characters in this are men. Like a lot of the women in the film are quite interchangeable. They all just sort of look the same somehow. But the writing with Clarissa is just too weird for this film to work. She's just a bit all over the place, and she doesn't always come across in the right way, as I've already explained. Like at the start of this film, she's turning down jobs left and right because they only pay $10 an hour and $12 an hour. And oh, why should I work a job like that at 20 years old? I should be doing something better. I'm going to follow that influencer dream and earn $500,000 in a week. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, but I'm very down to earth and I'm like a Cinderella type girl and stuff. I just don't know who she's meant to be, and it just comes across really weird. I think what they should have done maybe is have the sister go with Clarissa to Thailand, have one of them be really into the whole social media dream, and then she's let down by it ultimately. Have the other girl be this more down-to-earth person who is only going for the money, and they can sort of see through all these other people, and there'd be a nice contrast there. You could have had the sisters travelling together, but as it is, you've got all these characteristics just packaged into one character, and it's just a bit of a mixed-up mess, I think. That's how it came across to me anyway. I just didn't like this film, ultimately. I was still very glued to it. Like sometimes when I'm watching a relatively poor film, I'll have to break it up into like 2 or 3 sessions, but I watched this all at once because I still couldn't wait to see what happened in the next car crash of a scene somehow. I would just couldn't take my eyes off these people, even if I didn't always like them and what they were up to. Right, it's time to get to the bag of terror so I can show you my score for this film. Here's the bag. The film might have 1 million followers, but it only gets 2 Michael Myers carving knives for me. This is not a great score, and to be honest, this film does not live up to other horror/thriller films that feature social media stars, things like Influencer and Follow Me. I would watch those instead if you haven't seen them already. Right, we'll leave it there for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back another time. Bye-bye.